in the hole.
What up, Whit? Ladies and gents, welcome back to another episode of the Bet Champ Show After Hours. Week 1 of the NFL in the books. How did you fare? How did you make it out alive with some of the bets going into it? The fellas absolutely killed the 4-leg parlay, murdered it. You know, you put 20, you won 200, you put even more, you won a little more. So a nice little 1,095 parlay in the books. Week 1, ladies and gents. We're just getting started. The fellas, we're clicking heads all together, and we are off and rolling. Let us know how your week 1 went in the comments, and throw them your way. If you guys got a winning slip, send it our way. We'll love to look at it and let us know what you're looking for week 2, because I know me and the fellas are definitely on our way there. Thursday night football as well. Got a great one. Got the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. That's going to be a great Thursday night game. Love getting the week started with an absolute banger. Of course, how are the fellas doing tonight? We got Northglen's finest in the house. The Soch man is here to play. Soch, how are we feeling?
Feeling good. Obviously, the Cowboys won, so mine and Whit predictions, those go cash in. Just a lot to get into. A lot of big things happened over this slate, so we can get into them and we can kind of move to next week. But week 1 of football, it was pretty damn good. So happy to see what you guys think.
Of course, we got our favorite guy, one of the show's favorites, the liquor cabinet in the back. We got the guy, the cross above and all. We got the Whitster in the house. Whit, how are we feeling?
Feeling good, man. Cultures prevail. And by cultures, I mean terrible cultures. The Bengals, again, look like they're back to the Bengals. And the Cardinals, again, look like they're back to the Cardinals. So, it's hard to overcome cultures. You can have a few good years, but, when things start slipping, things start going bad, I think you start to see that you just are who you are. And, it takes a lot. Winning solves things for a little bit, but culture will prevail over the long term. I think there's franchises that show that, but they aren't two of them.
100%. Good to have you in the house, Whit. I know you're excited for week 2. And of course, ladies and gents, the money man himself, the Teflon Don. TV is off tonight, but we got WWE in the house. E, how we feeling?
Man, feeling really good. It's a great weekend from KC all the way through KC, Baltimore to San Fran and the Jets. I mean, it was just bookends of – there was some slop out there too, but some really good games, some key injuries, and some stuff to take away from, right? I think there's some reads out there for this week. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was just good having football back in. Besides the Monday night, all the primetime games kind of delivered, even that Sunday night overtime.
Yeah.
KC – you went out to Philly. We lost Jordan Love for a little bit. I know we'll get into that. But, yeah, all in all, thought it was a good week of football.
Well, great to have all the fellows in here. We got a full house tonight, and we're going to chop it up. Talk a little week 1, how we fared with some of the picks. And, of course, we're moving on to week 2 and get a little brainstorming going before we get it off and rolling. Guys, appreciate all the live viewers and listeners. If you guys got any questions or any plays you want us to look at, just send us a question or a comment in the chat. We'll give you a shout out on the show, but we are off and rolling tonight. Just wanted to go around the room with everyone. How do we feel about some of the picks we threw out there? Just a quick recap on how we all did. We'll start with Soch.
Yeah, so a quick recap we had was I had the Cowboys money line as the underdog. That obviously cashed. I had the money line Eagles at minus 142. I got my balls busted for that one. And we can go back. My player prop was Zay Flowers over 6.5, and then I had the Falcons. So went 3-1 as my picks for the week, but the Falcons, I think they were kind of like the Falcons were kind of just the storyline of what I was looking at. Obviously, they fucking got banged.
They got banged.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins threw 2 interceptions. That's obviously not a good sign. They had every right to win that game. The Steelers scored 5 field goals. It just wasn't a good game, and it wasn't a good showing for what the Falcons were doing. So, we'll go ahead and look at it. But I mean, I went 3-1 on the picks that I had, so can't really complain. And I mean, Witt absolutely got banged. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
we had Witt with the Cowboys money line,
Got it. And then we stopped right there, back at 1,000.
and then we stopped. Hey, it's week 1.
That was it.
We
get
all
it
know
out.
how-
Get it out now.
We stopped right there. Witt had the Bengals -7.5, Mahomes, and then he had the Jets. So, Witt, what do you got to say about those?
So if you remember the Mahomes bet, I went against my gut. Remember when I was saying, hey, Lamar Jackson over 46.5. I like it. He rushes for 166. You get Mahomes at over 21.5, and he rushes for, I think, 3 yards. The Jets, I'm going to be honest with the Jets-Snyder game. I thought it was much more competitive than people saw or thought. That game was one of the quickest games I've seen from two defenses in a very long time. It was violent. Multiple people in on every tackle. When it was a solo tackle, it was hard hit, wrapped up. I just think Rodgers not playing last year. I think they were out-coached, obviously. And the Niners just have a lot of weapons, and they're very physical on both sides of the ball. That game was fun to watch, especially the first half. I haven't seen football and people fly around on a field like that in a long time from both teams. The Bengals, look, I don't know where anyone thought that the Patriots were going to get more than 13 points, and they really didn't. I think they had 16, but the Bengals scoring what they scored, and I don't think anyone saw that even with Jamar Chase. So Bengals got a lot of issues, and it just shows how dysfunctional they are. And Jacoby Brissett strikes again, just steady as a day is long, just like Tyrod Taylor. They just go in, they do their job, they stay on schedule, they don't make mistakes, and the team is competitive. So, hey, 1-3. I did well on a lot of other bet stops, as you know.
Yeah.
Last night I got banged. I got banged by the Jets last night. I did get banged by the Jets and Breece Hall. But, yeah. Don't bet the Jets, man. Fuck, 0-3 on them this weekend.
E, how'd you fare?
I'll go ahead and tell E his picks. So
Yeah,
E had the Raiders. E had the Raiders money line. He had the Hawks.
That's a tough one, man.
He had the Seahawks -6.5.
I thought it was I had it at 6.
Backdoor cover.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
so he had
that
that was a push.
It ended at 6.5.
It ended at 6.5.
Come on,
I'm
man.
sorry. And then James Conner over 75 receiving plus rushing. And then he had the Colts +2.5. So E ends up going 2-1-1.
2-1-1. I'll take it. Yeah, the big one on those was my goodness, man. I can't misread the Raiders any more than what I did. I don't know. I thought there was going to be something out of that. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry to America for that Raiders pick. Yeah, but I ate it with you guys, Had some other plays throughout the week, but yeah, that's where it is. Man, that Seahawks, God bless Denver, right? I mean, Seahawks couldn't fucking hold on the ball that first half. You're like, is this going to happen? Is this going to have 2 safeties in the game? What the hell is going on, right?
Yeah,
and then the Colts, that's just a standard divisional dog at home. And I'm glad Witt, if you guys remember the show, in full disclosure, I was going to take the Jets. Witt took the Jets. And so I think ZJ had Houston. So I was like, all right, ZJ, man, I'm taking these Colts. Divisional home at home. So it wasn't like it was on my top board. But I'll take it. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. How'd Freddie Mercury do?
So ZJ had the Ravens money line, Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown, he went Broncos +6.
I did take him at 6.5, and I remember saying that.
Okay,
on
he
the
did
show.
take him at 6.5. I had it like scratched, and then he had what was your other pick, Siege?
Then I had the one that lost was the Texans one.
Oh, he had the Texans +2.5. So I mean, not bad. ZJ went 2-2.
2-2.
Respect.
We'll have to just a quick recap of my picks. Obviously, again, like I said in the past, you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I still haven't learned. Should have learned the first time. Came down to a 1-score game though, so we were close within it, just took the L, but don't bet against Pat Mahomes. Obviously, kind of a similar thing there with the Texans. It looked in the first quarter, second quarter, even in the third, it looks like they were going to kind of squeak it out, but I mean Anthony Richardson was throwing some absolute bombs that game, and they made that comeback in the end. If you guys remember, they scored. They didn't need to score or anything. They just scored for the team. It wasn't going to allow them to win or whatnot. They just chose to score at the end of the game, run their offense, everything. So got hooked there with it. But 2-2, knew Tyreek after Tyreek got arrested too. I knew he was going to get a touchdown. You knew he was going to do something after that. That was a huge story. He was thinking about that the whole game. He was thinking about his celebration the whole game. He had that schemed up from the jump. And then, Broncos, luckily the half a point saved me there. To what he said, a very slow game. I mean, every opportunity in the book for the Broncos to win, they couldn't pull it out. But kept it close. I mean, the defense did their job and did their part to keep it close for a winnable game. So went 2-2 on the week. We're gonna have to come up with some type of, if we do this every week, a point system, kind of where everyone's ranked amongst each other to kind of see how we do. And then again, ladies and gents, just to reiterate it, we absolutely smashed the 4-leg parlay. We do it every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning, we're going to go in to that Sunday of NFL. Absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it. E with Clemson, myself with what were our plays again? I'm sorry.
So we had E starting us off with the Clemson minus 16.5. They won by $1 million. Then we had Witt with over 10.5 receiving yards for James Conner. I had over 9.5 Cowboys total points in the first half, and then ZJ had Jaleel McLaughlin over 21.5 rushing yards.
For a plus 1,095, I believe it was. So $20 won you like 219 and whatnot.
Dang.
And it was nice. The beauty of this parlay too was we had been doing it all season long. We do it every NFL year and everything. But to start us off week one, he absolutely killed his with the Clemson. They won by however much. It was an absolute that the other team just got banged. Witt right away off the bat, James Conner did his thing. So we absolutely
First quarter.
the beauty of some of these plays is when you smash them right away and don't have to sweat it out the whole game. Soch as well absolutely smashed it. And then Jalil, I think, got his in the third quarter. So, I mean, there was no real stress going down it, and that's
Sure.
That's when you have some great plays, is when you're not sweating it down to the final minutes of the game. So again, guys, $20 won you like 200 and some, depending on what your unit sizing was, but a 4-leg banger plus 1,095. And we're going to be back again Saturday, every Saturday, guys, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. You're going to find us. We're going to get that 4-leg out there to you guys. And we absolutely love it. But going back to our picks, definitely we'll have to think of like a unit system, because I think that was fun to see what each of us kind of had.
Yeah, it was
of
good.
course, that was really cool. I would like to do it again. Maybe if we do get the Thursday show running or whatnot, maybe we could kind of have, even if all of us don't make it, we could have all of our picks out that Thursday night and everything. We'll get them out into the air, which would be cool. But great stuff. Great start for week one. Soch absolutely killed it. Witt will have a bounce back. I know with week two, and then myself and E kind of in that 500 range, of course. So we're looking to do our thing. Before we kind of get to everything else, I wanted to go over Thursday night's game. This Thursday night, we kind of hinted at it. We have Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. What are we seeing here, fellas? Of course, let's just talk game plan and everything. Who do we think is going to come out on top of it? And any picks you might be looking into for the Thursday night? We'll start with Scotch.
So I'm looking at the Dolphins minus 2.5. I think I just still do not trust the Bills in any game. I mean, they were down 17-3, 17-0, whatever it was against the Cardinals. The Dolphins obviously got out to a slow start, but if you can just literally contain Josh Allen and just make him throw the ball to any of these receivers, I do not have any trust in him at all. Not even in him alone. I just don't think the receivers are good enough. So looking at that, I think the Dolphins are going to get, kind of what they want over there in it's in Miami. So it's always tough when you're a team like Buffalo going into Miami, going into that hot weather. It's always tough to play in. Always a hostile environment. I think the Dolphins get the -2.5 here. I think they win by a field goal. I think they kind of will figure it out as the time goes on, and I think that the Bills are just not as good as advertised, and I think that week win was literally based off of the Cardinals just not being a good team. So, I mean, they're a solid team, but I think, like what Witt said, the Cardinals are going to be the Cardinals. So, until I'm proved otherwise against a good team in week 2, go ahead and give me the Dolphins in that game -2.5.
Yeah, I like it. I think the Dolphins win that game because it's at home. But there's 2 plays, and they're both involve Josh Allen. I think you can either go I think number one, they're going to be behind, and Josh Allen's going to play a big role in that. So you got Josh Allen, 250-plus receiving yards. You got him at +100 right now. So 250 is not hard to come by for him. In addition to, if you want to bet him 40-plus rushing yards, you're at +106. I think he's going to have a big game. Either one of those, I think, are not a bad play. I think you could see him with easily 46, 52 rushing yards, something to that effect. And you can see him probably 280-plus if they're even going to be competitive in the game. He's just the only horse they have. I don't think there's a lot of weapons out there. There's going to be a lot of outside the pocket, off-schedule plays for him, I believe. The secondary is strong for them. That's where I think the rushing yards will come to play. So those are 2 things I'm looking at right now. Haven't dove in it too much. Obviously, there's some plays with Tariq and some other things, as the Bills secondaries has some definitely questionable things. And this wide receiving core for the Dolphins is far superior to anything they saw against the Cardinals. So I think you'll see some plays that you can have out there on the edge with Waddle and Tyreek. So, but look at Josh Allen, because he's going to have a huge game for them to have a chance to pull it off in Miami.
I'm going to be the contrarian. I'll go with the Bills. Give me the 2.5.
Wow.
2.5 with Buffalo. Prop wise, I had it this week. I'll do it again. Give me James Cook over 60 yards rushing. And I'll probably all year play a Tariq Hill touchdown. I think he'll always pop something off. Those will probably be what I'd look at prop wise. But I think Buffalo, they get it at a good time. It's not a 1 p.m. game with the sun shining right down on the opponent's bench. Still going to be hot, probably in the 80s, but it's not going to be what it would have been as a 1 o'clock game. And Miami was down to the Jags at the half. It's not like they were out there a fucking greased machine. I think Jags had that game. It's just Doug Peterson doing Doug Peterson shit, and they don't score again for the rest of the fucking game. That second half, he starts getting too smart for it. But I think Trevor Lawrence threw 5 passes.
Yeah, it was about to be 23-7. It was about to be 23-7.
Crazy. He just stopped it, started running all the time, but Miami won. I'll give them that. But it's not like they're clicking as well. So I will give them that. I just got to feel in Buffalo. I know what Vegas. I know where they're at. I don't know where they're at, but I think they're trying to get you. Give me the 2.5. I'll take that. And this probably won't be a play, but ZJ asked about that game. That's where I would lean. That's where I would go. I don't know if I'm going to put my money on it, but I'll take the points of Buffalo. And I don't like Buffalo. You guys know that. That's hard for me to say. But.
Yeah. Guys, shout out to all the live viewers and listeners. If you guys are watching and have any questions, comments, or concerns, throw us something in the chat. We'll give you a shout out on the show. Always, we are live on all your platforms. This game has a lot of interest to me. I love it. And we talk about some of these primetime games, but what a great start so far to the NFL season. These primetime games have been absolutely hidden. Of course, we had last Thursday nights. We had the Sunday night banger. And even the Jets 49ers. It was a good matchup for TV and everything. And now you got a game like this, Bills versus Miami. I'm absolutely kind of where Sacha's head is at. I like Miami -2.5 here. Obviously, they're at home. They're in their own element. Bills wise, I wasn't really settled with the Bills win, obviously, because the Cardinals really fumbled that one. It's not like the Bills. Obviously, the Bills had a comeback and everything, but the Cardinals kind of gave the door to them. So I didn't see any adversity there. However, what I'm liking and what I'm seeing over on that Bills side is Josh Allen and rushing, and Witt kind of said that himself. You start to see these quarterbacks with some of these teams when they can't find open guys and everything. You look at the Ravens and everything. When Lamar can't seem to find a guy, what's he going to do? He's going to scramble to kind of extend plays. That's kind of similar right here with Josh Allen and the Bills. The receiver core is not as strong, so he's got to make stuff happen for the team. And so I like the rushing yards to what Witt said, but also, I mean, he showed in this past week a rushing touchdown for Josh Allen might not be a bad play. If they're close in the goal line and he's not finding guys open, he's going to run it in. He showed that this past game. He's going to run it in. He's going to dive in. He's going to do whatever it takes to get the score. So I like that. And, of course, going back to the Dolphins side of things, I'm just going to stick with what I know and what we did a lot last year and what I just did last week, but that Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown. I cannot stress it here enough, ladies and gents. When you got a team that you know is going to throw packages to one of the speediest player in the NFL, a package that is designed for him to break loose, he's 40 yards down the field, faster than everyone. It's designed for him to get a touchdown. Like, that's what these packages are doing for Tyreek Hill. I always love that anytime touchdown Tyreek Hill. That's definitely going to be on my personal bet slip this week and whatnot. But an excellent game. I love it. We'll have to, perhaps tomorrow, we'll get something going in the group chat. We'll finalize maybe one play for the Thursday night game from each of us. We'll throw it out on the socials and everything to kind of get back to all of our records. But I absolutely love it. I think the Dolphins should take care of business here. Home game. We'll see what happens. But anything else you guys want to throw out in the air with the Thursday night game? I love it.
No, so just to give you what E said, just to give you what it is on James Cook, 60-plus yards, minus 30. You go to 70-plus yards, it's plus 122. So a 52-point spread on that lets you know that there's some confidence there with 60-plus yards. And as he gets towards 70, it wanes quite a bit when Vegas is looking at. So that's pretty huge gap for 10 yards.
Yeah. I like the 60. I'm not doing 70. Yeah. They know something. Probably land like on 63. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see the outcome too. I mean, most of these primetime games so far, they've been some close games. So, I mean, we're getting 2.5 there though. That's pretty nice on some accounts there. So we'll see, guys. That's Thursday night. Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins. Looking forward to that one. I know we're all going to be locked in. I've been locking in on a lot of live bets lately. A little food to thought. I just want to throw out there in the air. And I told Sach this when we were watching the Rams-Lions game. When you got a team that's down a field goal and they're driving within the last 2 minutes, a lot of times FanDuel, whatever platform you're on, they're going to give you a lot of boost plays here. I think the boost was for the game to go into overtime, and it was like plus 550. They're driving with 2 minutes left. They need a field goal to tie the game or, of course, a touchdown to win it. Why not throw a little $5 note on that? $5, $10, whatever, on a plus 550 or whatnot. The game went into overtime. We did that. That's a $30 swing right there. That's a $30 off of $5. Just throw it in there. Something small. It's a very tiny unit. Why not throw it out there? They got to score to either win or to put it in the OT. So if you see a boost like that, I like to sprinkle a little something in there or whatnot. Or again, I was telling Sach, if a team is driving, you can see some of these touchdown props when they get to the end zone. They're doing certain guys in certain positions. It's going to be like a plus 500, plus 600. But who's your favorite running back in some of these scenarios to run in, on the 2 or 3 yard line? So just a little food for thought. Never put in full units on these, but put a little sprinkle on there every once in a while. It's not a bad thing if you're watching some of these lines when you're watching them live. Cool stuff, fellas. Moving on to week 2. Just wanted to throw it out there. Which games are you guys going to be tuned into the most? Anything you guys are seeing so far? Or what are you most excited for week 2? I think we'll throw that out into the air.
Go
I
ahead,
think you got
Sus.
I think you got to start with the Bills Dolphins. Obviously, that's the first game out there. The Niners Vikings is going to be interesting to me. We'll see if the Vikings, how competitive they're going to be. The Niners coming off that big road win, and then the Saints Cowboys is of interest to me, followed by the Bucks Lions to see how competitive both those are. The Bucks the real deal, and are the Lions the real deal? Should be a good game. And then if you go all the way back down to Texans Bears. We'll see what Caleb Williams has. And the Falcons got another rough go, can start 0-2 against the Eagles. So I think there's some huge games and some huge tipping points for a lot of teams that you can either see who they are or who they're going to be, and potentially who they're not. But, man, the Falcons starting 0-2. And I think here's the issue with the Falcons for me, which I'm looking at, is we are moving into, in my opinion, with Kirk Cousins, a very Drew Bledsoe-like situation, right, with Tom Brady. I'm not saying that the gentleman from Washington is going to end up being that, but Drew Bledsoe was where he was going to be, 3, 5, and 7 steps back. Kirk Cousins is right there. It's not hard for a defensive line to know where Kirk Cousins is going to be, which makes their offense very predictable, makes it very stagnant in passing downs. And so I think you could see Kirk Cousins, that contract potentially being a huge mistake for the Falcons, and then moving on. A little early, but you could see they start off 0-3, 0-4, and they have a tough go. This week they got the Eagles. So I'm very interested to see what they do.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Look at fucking Robbie.
Robbie Larson in the chat, baby. He's got the Eagles going all the way.
Nah, so what I'll kind of touch on the Cowboys a little bit. Obviously, they signed Dak Prescott to the $60 million mark. I would honestly lean heavily towards the Saints in this one, plus 6.5. I think the Cowboys played a team that the books have caught. I think Vegas will catch up on the Browns. They're not the team that people think they are, especially if you got Deshaun Watson throwing the ball. They obviously don't have Nick Chubb. They have Jerome Ford. I think the Saints can put up a good match against the Cowboys in Dallas. I think giving them 6.5, can we see a backdoor cover if anything? Sure. Derek Carr obviously caught up steam. He had 3 touchdowns last week, no interceptions. That's the biggest thing that I'm looking at. Dak Prescott, to be completely honest with you, he probably should have had an interception or 2 in that game. The Browns didn't catch the football. I think the Saints secondary is kind of just as good as the Browns. They obviously got a couple guys over there on corner and safety. Cowboys in week 2s typically do not play the best. They kind of come out a little sluggish, especially at home. I'm leaning heavily towards the Saints in this one, but other than that, I think I see a lot of talk about overpaying and all this stuff. I don't really know. I think it's going to take a couple weeks for us to figure out who the hell these quarterbacks are, who Joe Burrow is and all that stuff. But just going off of the Saints and Cowboys game, give me the Saints plus 6.5.
I like it. So I got 3 plays that I made already.
Damn.
Yeah. Let me see if it's changed at all to 1. But sorry, guys. Let me get here real quick. Changed from this morning.
Sorry, and I kind of like the under on the Cowboys Saints. I like the under 46.5. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring.
So I like Houston minus the 6.5. I think the Bears going to Houston. Are you kidding me? They fucking scored 2 touchdowns. One was on special teams. One was on defense.
No, 2
Caleb
were on
did
defense.
absolutely nothing.
2 were on defense.
Well, wasn't it a special like a block punt or some shit like that?
Let me
It
check.
could have been 2 defensive. I know it was not the offense that did it. I don't see them going in there. Keelan Allen's busted up. They lost a rookie already, the rookie wide receiver. He's not supposed to be playing. I jumped on that because I know that's probably going to jump 7.5 by the time you wait for this weekend. If you guys remember my reasoning, this is a homer pick in a way, but my reasoning with that Clemson game, Georgia whipped Clemson in that second half, and then they come out the next week and they're only 16.5-point favorite. Jets are going to Tennessee. Give me the Jets minus 3.5. They played they did play at least in week 1 the best team in the NFL. They went to San Francisco, got their fucking asses kicked, no doubt. But that's a hell of a team. That's a hell of a football team that's been playing together for 3 years. A lot of continuity, a lot of guys knowing one another. I know ZJ was like, they're getting out coached. And in a way, I'm like, yes. But in a way, I'm like, no, they just got beat. That wasn't – I mean, they got out coached because the coach is calling a play. They got beat on power up the middle and left-right sweeps. I mean, there was no fucking – we're going to zigzag and do all this shit. They just got ran over. So they got a little pride they got to swallow. San Francisco had the ball for so long. That offense didn't really even get out there to show anything. But their next 3 games, they have Tennessee, New England, and Denver. If they can't show up at those games, then I'm going to say, yeah, there was a big miscalculation. But you played the number 1 team in the nation. Now you're going to say they're only 3 points against a Minnesota team? Okay, I'm good with that. Let's go ahead and do that. And they get to go home for a weekend. Tennessee. Sauce, you know what I mean? Yeah, Tennessee. They get to go home for a weekend stewing that. And let me tell you, there's no like this. Trust me, I watched the TV. I watched the news here. Denver local news, blessings. All nothing but blessings for everybody. New York, they are fucking killing the Jets right now. Every time they get in their car, they are getting fucking crushed. They know. Don't you go down to Tennessee and lose that. So I have that, and then look for a Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown at home as well. I think they're going to run that till the wheels come off. This is his homecoming to Philly, so I like those 3 right there. And then a game I'm interested in is just that Pittsburgh-Denver game. I really am. I know it seems weird because it's like, really? But is Sean right? I think we can all agree with Seattle. Like Sean, he didn't really let Bo go. You know what I mean? It was very short, targeted passes. Didn't really matter. I think his plan is to groom him, right? But now you're at home. Is he going to open it up a little bit against Pittsburgh? I don't know if he will or not. That's what I mean. But I'm interested to see if he does because they were winning. But I'll be honest with you guys. This is just Eric McCullough. I don't know if he won. He wants to win the game, but I don't think the game plan was, right? Because if you just watch those plays, it's like, why are we running another 3-yard out, another 4-yard out? I think his touchdown run was longer than any pass that didn't get intercepted or batted down. So he's just they're hey, and that's okay. So let them see what it is. But now we're going to be at home, a friendly environment, and Russ isn't going to be playing. That kind of sucks. But I want to see how they do with that one. I'm interested in that game. A lot of just games that are just kind of mismatchy, but I do like those.
Absolutely. I'll just toss out the 3 games I'm excited for just because spread wise right now, what you can get the lines at. To be honest with you, the first game, I like the Colts versus the Packers. Jordan Love obviously injured right now. You're getting Colts minus 3.5 at plus money, even money at 100. I seeing this backup Green Bay quarterback in preseason, and then obviously the couple of last minutes before Jordan Love went down, dude looks in sorts. Dude looks nervous, out of it. Like, I don't know how much of an offense these guys can kind of muster. And then you go on to the other side of things with Anthony Richardson. That dude looks like he's just ready to ball. And what I love about him is he's not afraid to take a deep shot down the field. And usually some of these young quarterbacks they don't want to throw a pick or anything. This guy's throwing a shot. So, which is good and bad, interception wise and whatnot, but he is not afraid to move the ball down the field and throw some absolute darts, as well as he's kind of a maneuverable quarterback as well in the rush game. So I'm kind of liking the Colts at minus 3.5 at even money right now, guys. I really do. That's going to be in there. Go ahead, Eve.
I'd say the one thing with that, because I did look at that, but I'm thinking, one, I don't like that hook on there, that 3.5.
I don't either, yeah.
But 2, Mixon went for 150. I think Green Bay's just going to throw Josh Jacobs at him. You know what I mean? Mixon went for 150 on the Colts this weekend.
Mixon's on the Texans.
Yeah, that's who they played the Colts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying this past weekend. Mixon rushed for like 150 on them. So now they're going to Green Bay with Josh Jacobs. I'm just saying what I think is going to be out in that game is Green Bay's not going to be like Malik. I need you throwing this ball everywhere. It's going to be a lot of Josh, a lot of splits and tight ends to try to keep it close. So I just don't like the hook on it. But that's your play. Hopefully that can go down a little bit. But 3.5, it's like fuck. Give me the field goal.
Yeah, I got you. Just a game I'm looking at. The other one I really like, and we'll see how these guys do, but I like the Bengals and the Chiefs with this one. You can get the Chiefs at -5.5. I think the Bengals, there's a lot going on in that locker room, coaching-wise, player-wise. They're kind of in sorts right now, and I don't think that's just going to go away in week 2. There's a lot of stuff in the air, obviously, with Jamar Chase and everything, and the head coach. They look like they're at ends with each other, and you could tell that locker room's kind of apart. And with the Chiefs, we just saw again these guys up against the Ravens, how dominant these guys are with Patrick Mahomes at the helm. And a guy I was kind of talking about drafting-wise coming to the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, another one of those speed wide receivers, a weapon for Mahomes that they didn't even really fully unleash, and he still somehow got 2 touchdowns in the short amount of plays that guy got. There's definitely going to be more packages for him. Travis Kelce didn't even really necessarily play that well either. And Isaiah Pacheco is just an absolute – this guy runs like he's pissed off every down. I love the Chiefs right here at -5.5 going up against a broken Bengals team. And then for my last game, I'm back at it with the Bears and the Texans. Again, I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Texans team. They're starting to build even more. I love CJ Stroud. I think he's a great young quarterback. And the one play outside of a spread I want to toss in here is I'm looking at a Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown. He had 2 last week. They showed what he can do. He looks like he's going to be one of those favorite targets for CJ Stroud. He was big in the red zone. Big. This guy's an absolute route runner when he's keeping his mind intact. So I love that. But I like, again, what E said, the spread too with the Texans, -6.5. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, so
Rookie quarterback on the first start on the road.
I don't know.
We were on the road too.
We were giving picks, but one of the ones I'm looking at, and from a Cardinals fan, the Rams on the road, they're at +102 money line, or you can get them at +1.5 via the spread at -110. I think the Arizona Cardinals, it was a stretch. I think they went on the road. They had some nice plays. The Rams always play them very tough. They usually win. I think they're like 8-1 in the last 9 over the Cardinals. The Cardinals are on the road. That's not an intimidating place to play. So if you want the Rams money line at +102, just came off a tough game. And I just think McVay's the better coach. The better quarterback is Stafford. I know Nakua's out, but I still think the Rams will probably find a way to get it done by a field goal. Yeah, you can get them at +102 money line right now.
God, I didn't even really see that one. I'm
on the same thing with.
I just totally, I must have glazed over that one, because I'll tell you right now, the Rams aren't losing 2 in a row. I know that for a fact. The Rams are a really good ball team. They just came up against the Lions and still went into overtime. The Rams are a pretty good ball team. Veteran quarterback. They're not losing 2 in a row. I'll tell you that. So at the +102, I love that. I love that.
If you think the thing with the Cardinals is, if you look at just their total yards and you look at just the distribution of the ball, look at Kyler Murray, they have to have a short field or they have to have a big play. They have a hard time sustaining drives, getting multiple first downs, i.e. more than 2 first downs in any drive, period. And I just don't see them doing that throughout they may get up, but I'm telling you right now, they will have a quarter where they will go 3 and out twice and they won't see the ball again the rest of that quarter. Or they could have a half where there's 3-4 3 and outs and they kick 1 field goal on the other drive and they get shut out the entire half. It's just, I like the Rams at +102. I'd probably go money line. If you want to play it safe, go to +1.5 on the Rams. I think they win by a field goal, but I take the plus money there.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. I think I love that a lot. Cool stuff. A quick sneak preview, ladies and gents, of what the fellas are kind of eyeing coming this Sunday, week 2 in the NFL. Of course, we'll get some official picks out, I think, Thursday night. Even if they're not on the show, we'll get them out on the socials. We'll try to do the same amount of last time from each of us so we can kind of get the record going again. Let us know what you guys are liking this week. Throw us in the socials, send us a DM, or even throw it out on the show. We'll give you a shout out as always. Cool stuff. A little brainstorming here tonight. Last question I kind of got for you guys. Anything more we need to see from certain teams come week 2? What are some of the teams you're like, okay, I didn't really see enough here. I might need to see a little more week 2. Any teams on your guys' minds? We'll start with Sach.
I mean, one of the big teams that we all got to be looking at is you got to look at the Bengals. I mean,
yeah, that's
I totally understand them having the issues with T. Higgins. He didn't play. Jamar Chase, obviously, all that stuff going on. But, I mean, you got to score more than 10 points against the fucking – you got to score more than 10 points against the Patriots. With the new head coach on the road, I mean, it shouldn't matter. And I get Joe Burrow. He's one of the golden boys in the NFL, all that stuff. But you got to show more in the first week, especially after what happened last year. He didn't play very well last year. He was hurt a little bit. I would expect them to kind of, Joe Burrow has to be going into that locker room, going to the head coach and the owner and be like, yo, we cannot do this all year. You got to pay this guy. What is our future really going to look like? We lost Joe Mixon over the offseason. We got T. Higgins on a franchise tag. Like what are you really looking at if you're the Bengals ownership? So I would expect that to probably be done within this week or next week. But I mean, no matter what, you really you got to score more than that. So I'm looking at that offense. And that's honestly one of the big ones. I'm looking at the Bengals, and honestly, even the Dolphins. The Dolphins did not have really a good showing at all. It's not like they have the number 1 player in the NFL voted by the peers in Tyreek Hill. And I get all that stuff happened, but you can't be going down 14-17-0 against the Jaguars. So I would expect the Dolphins to bounce back a little bit. That's why I have them the -2.5 against the Bills, but I'm looking at the Dolphins and I'm looking at the Bengals to kind of improve a little bit. So those are going to be the 2 teams, at least on offense, that I watch. So we can go ahead and look at those ones.
Yeah, for me, and this is, probably not going to interest a lot of people, but looking at the Browns against the Jags, like, can Deshaun Watson get some sort of rhythm, show some semblance of what he used to be? Hasn't played football in 3 years, basically. At what point do you start to look to say maybe this is an answer with what happened with Flacco last year, and maybe there's a more solid fixture, a better leader that you can put in there with that unit, that defense? And the other one is the Chargers against the Panthers. Winning these games, I think, will be a Harbaugh staple. You got to get them early in the season before you get late in the season. It's going to be highly competitive, I believe, for the last 2 spots for the AFC playoffs, to include the NFC as well. But you got to get these games early, and you need to go out there and not just win, but dominate. And I think that's one thing Harbaugh teams always do, is they show up and dominate the line of scrimmage, or they at least play hard. It'll be interesting to see if that same thing exists with the Panthers. It's on the road in Carolina. And yeah, it's an early game. So it'll be a West Coast team going east. So that is interesting to me, just to kind of see, have they started to adopt that just, dominant run game, impose their will, put their opponents away early, and then just lean on them. Because I think these early wins will go a long way. The Chargers, the story of them is start fast and finish slow. So, I won't be convinced until they make the playoffs and win a playoff game, but this is a winnable game that they should win going away by 10 points or more.
Yeah. For me, it's the Jets, right? Like I said, I'm willing to give you one with that San Fran team. You went on the road. You were supposed to lose anyway, according to the spread, just not by that much. Okay, we got that. But by the time kickoff started, you're watching the pregame. I mean, they had that Jets defense sounding like it was the 85 Bears. They were just crushing it. So, all right, guys, let's see what you got. If you struggle in Tennessee, then there's something there. And what's there is Witt's point. These teams we're bringing up are all teams that have a culture of losing, that are trying to learn to win. Arizona giving up the lead. Miami coming back, but Miami was down. They had to come back. And I'm looking at it for myself, but I think I know where Witt's at with this. When you talk about culture, right, you talk about the Chiefs. Chiefs had the ball. People are like, Chiefs are going to win the game. You look at a team like Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers were not supposed to win in Atlanta. But guess what they always fucking do? They win those games. That's the culture. That's what they do. They're like, this is bullshit. We got this. Sometimes teams have a lead and they don't know how to hold it because they never had it before. I know it sounds really simple, but specifically with the NFL, because there's so few games, you have to learn to win. You have to learn what it takes to win. And that's a big piece.
You're right.
I mean, I'll throw the Steelers out there. They win.
It's
what
even as a fan, and Sach may be able to vouch on this. I know you as a Jets fan probably can. I've been a Cardinals fan for a long time, followed the Raiders a long time. I can sit there and watch a game and be like, here we go again. Because it's one big play, and you can see the body language, right? You can see the coaches start speeding up. You can see the overreaction to something, the going for it on fourth down, the throwing the ball, or just saying, we're just going to throw a screen. I know it's third and long, but we're throwing a screen. Knowing it, hoping you break it, but you don't. It's like, here we go again, and the next thing you know, you're punting the ball. Yeah. They're going down getting 3. They just got a touchdown the last drive, and then a turnover happens. And it's just culture, man.
Yep, it is. It really is culture. And going off of what Witt said, I mean, I feel the same way when I'm watching fucking Cowboy playoff games. They're not going to make the defensive stop. They're not going to make the third down in 6 or 5, whatever they got to do. So it's all just really learning how to win. And when it comes down to rookie QBs, whether they're on home or on the road, if they haven't won, they don't really know how to win yet. And I get Sean Payton, and I get Sean Payton as, he's a top-notch guy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he only has one Super Bowl, and that was about in 2009. So at the end of the day, he's really just an average coach. Just like how Mike McCarthy is a fucking average coach. Mike McCarthy has one Super Bowl with arguably a top 5 quarterback in the league. So even if coaches have the Super Bowl ring under their belt, if it was that long ago, they still really don't know how to win within the last decade. So, I agree completely with what Witt said, and kind of what he said pretty much is the same thing.
There's 3 teams I kind of want to see a little more from this in this week too, and I want to see more from these 3 teams just because I think they should be in that mid-tier category, trying to poke at the top tier. And of course, Sach nailed it off the bat. It's really the Bengals at number 1. Got to see more, and it's unfortunate that they're going up against the Super Bowl champions this in week 2. That's really unfortunate for them, but I just got to see I got to see a little fight out of these guys. I got to see Joe Burrow actually command this team. Even with all the mess going on in the organization, we got to see a little fight out of these guys. I mean, they really bent over for the Patriots, a team they really shouldn't have lost to at all. A newer coach in that Patriots organization, new quarterback, new system in general, and they just got absolutely dealt with. So the Bengals would probably be number 1 for me. Second, I want to see the Falcons. I want to see the Falcons, and
sure,
I got to see the Falcons do a little more. We thought they were going to beat the Steelers, but again, what he said, the Steelers, that's just what they do. They find a way to win the tough ones. Want to see a little more out of Kirk Cousins. Now, I know this is new players, new team and everything, but with the talent they have, they got to squeak out some wins here and because really we were saying it in the past couple of shows. I mean, we expected these guys to be pretty damn good. Now, that might have been a little high for us, but I just got to see a little more. The last one is, and he's right on it, I want to see a little more from the Jets. He kind of nailed it. They were supposed to lose this game. I mean, they're playing against the second best team in the NFL. It just goes to show what experience looks like. Teams that have been in the big games and everything, they know exactly what their favorite plays are to run and everything. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers necessarily played bad. It's kind of what he said. The offense wasn't really on the field that much. They couldn't really scheme up a lot of stuff because the 49ers were just driving the whole time. The reason I sent in the group chat why the Jets, I thought, got out-coached wasn't on an offensive standpoint of any form. It was on the defense. I think the defensive coach got out coached because the 49ers, obviously they're a great team, but they really were doing whatever they wanted in the pass game and in the run game. It seemed like every time the 49ers had the ball, they were driving down the field. And that sucked because we wanted to see that offense play a little more and everything. So I want to see more from the Jets. I want to see what they can do. I do still think they could be a solid team. And again, it's no hate on the Jets or anything. Aaron Rodgers hasn't played in the NFL for a full year. That was his first game back and everything. You're getting your legs wet and whatnot. Okay, week 1's over. Let's see a little more out of week 2 and whatnot. But excited, ladies and gents, to kind of get after it. I think the fellas know where our heads are going to be play-wise coming into it. We're already seeing stuff already. And, of course, we're starting it out with that Thursday night game, Bills versus the Miami Dolphins in Miami. What is going to happen? Cool stuff, fellas. Nice little show tonight, guys. Shout out to all the live viewers and listeners. Appreciate you guys being here. Shout out to our guy, Robbie Larson. Little comment in the chat.
Go Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. While we get down to the nitty gritty, of course, plays. I think we're going to have official plays out Thursday night. We'll be sure to get those out on the socials. Of course, that parlay show again, guys, is on Saturday, 10 a.m. You don't want to miss it. We just absolutely banged it week 1 plus 1,095 parlay. It was sweet. It was nice. It was everything you could ever ask for. Of course, we are off and rolling. Week 2 coming up, guys. Real quick before we put a bow on this thing, just around the room, anything the fellas want to throw out there into the atmosphere for the people to hear.
I kind of want to throw out. I just got to throw out my Cowboys. I got to throw them out there. I think it was a good win. I think them being an underdog and not being a favorite was a big win for them on the road. Obviously, the Cleveland Browns are a pretty good defensive team. No matter what anyone says, they still got Myles Garrett. They still have a couple cornerbacks on that team that are pretty solid. I think that was a good statement win. Obviously, it's week 1. Can they flop? Sure, but I was even telling my dad and all that stuff when the Cowboys were playing. Zeke looks pretty slim. The first play of the game, Zeke was trying to hurdle a guy. And I'm not saying Zeke is going to be a difference maker of them winning the Super Bowl, but as a Cowboy fan, you have 2 decent running backs that can obviously manage the run game. We still saw that Zeke has that power when he's inside the 3-yard line, so that was good to see as well. But I think the Cowboys are a full head of steam. They don't have a run game, so I'm looking at Dak props every single time. The first half was kind of pretty much put a bow on the game, so they kind of in the second half they had obviously the special teams touchdown, and then they had, they kind of laid off on everything. So I think for Dak Prescott props going into this next game, I think it's a solid look at, and the Cowboys got their $60 million man, so I'm happy as a Cowboys fan. They got Dak and CD locked up for the next 4 years together, so it was good to see. I know it's a homer, kind of bow on the show, but got to be happy about it.
All right.
The 2 for me is leadership, and it starts with the Jets quarterback. I think he's the wrong leader at the wrong time. And I think when you're trying to change a culture, you can't have someone that's relax, relaxed as he is.
Look at he.
I think you have to have someone. No, I do. I think he has to be the standard for perfection. I think he has to get on people. I think when you look at Brady going to Tampa Bay, he was the same guy with a team that he needed to organize extremely fast. The other one I'm going to go with is the Bengals. The Bengals lose this week, which I think they will. They go and their favorite early favorites -7 in Washington. I don't know about that. Couldn't beat New England. So they go 0-3. I think you'll start to see that culture be unraveled very rapidly. I think you'll see a lot of noise out of that organization, just like you'll probably hear a lot of noise out of the New York media. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is the right guy to turn that franchise around, and I don't know who's next. They don't have a plan. So do they go into a rebuild? What do they do? So those 2 teams to me, I mean, they could go from high expectations to, I'm talking sub 500 teams very rapidly. And I'm just not sold on Aaron Rodgers' leadership. I mean, even today on the Pat McAfee show, he's just, he's talking about scheme. He's talking about this. He's like, oh, I'd love to debate anyone from a mental and IQ standpoint. He's so arrogant. And it's like, dude, can we just humble ourselves and get the X's and O's and make the fucking plays and get in people's ass when you don't? He played like shit, and
Wow.
there's no accountability.
Wow.
Zero.
E, what do you got to say about that?
I mean, I'd never heard I mean, I had a whole different thing for the end. I don't know. I mean, it's cool. Like, you can't argue people when they have that in their mind. I've never heard anybody say Aaron Rodgers not a leader. I mean, as a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl MVP, 5 Packers came with him from the Jets to play with him. Devontae Adams just 2 fucking weeks ago said, I want to play with Aaron Rodgers, but the guy's not a leader. He's out there calming his offense down.
Wow.
He's literally in San Fran calming the guys down, saying, hey, guys, that had 2 zips that I challenge another quarterback could put it like he laid it in Lazard. Lazard dropped one. He's like, make a play. He's hitting the plays. I don't know what, but the things like, the guy's not a leader. He can't throw the ball. I saw some hell of a throws.
Well,
I saw some.
If you go back
to say Aaron Rodgers ain't leader.
If you go back,
out there, Zach Wilson.
I said I don't think he's the
He said wrong guy for the team. You have a veteran with a young team.
Listen to me. I said he's not the right leader because I don't think you can have someone RELAX. I haven't spelled it out that relaxed when you're trying to change a culture.
You need to tell the guys, relax, guys. We got this. It's only, and I agree with that. It's one game. If they win the next 3, they're 3-1, first place in the East. No one's going back saying Aaron Rodgers sucks. He's not a leader. This team, I can't believe. What? It's one game. We play 17 of them. No one's been undefeated since the Dolphins. All of our teams, every team in the league right now is probably going to lose more than one game.
Oh, agree with that.
Nobody needs to implode. This one game I haven't played for a year, and I only was on the field 30% of the game because I didn't have the ball.
He's never been an execution guy, though. He's never been an execution guy. He's never been that dude. He's just uber talented. That throw to Lazard, and by the way, the Packers that came with him, all of them, bums.
Yeah.
Well, who else was signing them? Who else was signing them?
Scored 2 TDs.
Because he's in his wedding.
You can't argue stuff when it comes at you like this. The guy's a bum. He scored 2 TDs. How many receivers didn't score 1 last week? Lazard got 2 TDs, but he's a bum. He's a bum. I don't get. You can't argue those things when you just look at the facts of what's there, and then we're gonna throw a bum tag on the guy who I bet you is anybody had who had 3 TDs receivers?
Randall Cobb, journeyman.
2 TDs. He's probably leading the league. Bum.
Lazard, journeyman.
Rodgers. Man, you see the passes?
Hey, Rodgers is washed. Rodgers is washed, and I'll tell you, he's not washed from a skill standpoint. Rodgers is washed mentally. When you listen to him, he doesn't like the grind of the game like Peyton and Brady.
He eats the mushrooms, man. No one's getting on that. He eats the mushrooms. He's a little bit different. He's a psychedelic guy.
Man. No, he's
a mushroom eater.
My point was
on to Tennessee.
He's the wrong leader for the Jets when you're trying to change a culture. He wants to relax when they need a freaking.
I don't know what other leader you can have. A 4-time MVP and a Super Bowl MVP.
There's nothing
to change
more
the team's culture.
Nothing more toxic in any relationship when someone makes a mistake than somebody doesn't communicate with them but shows a public display of fucking disappointment like Rodgers does every time someone does something wrong. Just shows them up on the field. He does. Watch him, and that's just what the TV shows.
The only quarterback I know that does not do that is Dak. You talk about your hero idol, Josh Allen. Josh Allen's always putting his hands up. Receiver drops balls. He's always publicly embarrassing his guys. Roger does it. Hey, Wilson, we need to go here. You cut there. I don't got to do it in front to please Witt. Hey, come here so I can. Witt says I'm a leader. I got to chastise you on the sideline right now. He does his shit in the locker room.
Hey,
I guess you'd have to show me players that don't respect him. I just don't get it. I don't get the take. I've never heard any player say this guy's not a leader. His linemen love him. His players love him.
Just like Dak. No one ever criticizes Dak after they play with him.
We got a minute to go, guys. This is the Bet Champ Show after hours. The fellas are off and zooming. They're rolling tonight. That's what we want. That's why we do this show. That's why
I'm just trying to make
we're
sure.
always going to debate. We're always going to argue. But guys, shout out to all the live viewers and listeners off and rolling. This is what we do. It's sports are debatable. You got to debate. You got to have it. But guys,
Got a debate.
appreciate you guys. We'll catch you in the next one. We'll have those plays to you guys. And as we always like to say, stay fresh,